right. So, hi. I want to introduce you to some current residents of Austin. I know I've heard a lot about thinking about people who live here now. Well, this is my family. I have 3 girls who will one day want to live in their own homes. Are we building enough housing for them to live here? I don't think so. I grew up in San Jose, California, where the median home price is now over $1 million. Why? Because they have refused to build housing as they have grown in their jobs. I can't afford to live there. I think a lot of people here would find that just crazy. I can't live there either. They've preserved the neighborhood character. They've preserved the buildings exactly as they are. But now all the homes that are there are totally unaffordable to the average person. So teachers, nurses, service workers can't afford to live there. They have to drive an hour or 2 each way, which is expensive, it's polluting, it contributes to traffic. Is the answer to prevent job growth? We're only incentivizing about 1% of new jobs here. People want to move here because we have a good economy. Saying that we should discourage job growth is nice if you already have a job or you're retired and you don't care anymore. Do we want to become a city like various Rust Belt cities that have lost residents? I don't think so. If we don't want to become San Jose, California, or a city that's losing people, we need to pass a good code next to accommodate people who live here now and people who are going to move here regardless of any incentives. I've attended lots of public hearings, and I always hear the same concerns about traffic and cars. We've made housing expensive for people and free for cars. This is crazy. Do we value cars over people? I certainly don't. Next slide. So I had to do this. Won't somebody think of the children? You know, where are they going to live as they get older? Are we going to force them to be driven everywhere? Or are we going to make a city where they can walk and bike to the corner store, to their friend's house, etc.? Next slide. So speaking of children, my children are growing up in an environment where climate change is very real. Ice sheets are disappearing. 28% of greenhouse gas emissions come from transportation, yet we keep accommodating for cars. More than 30,000 Americans are killed every single year due to cars. And you know who's overrepresented in that? Older adults, people of color, low-income people. Yet we keep building things and focusing on cars and ensuring that they can be parked for free in any place. Why do we do this? With the U.S. pulling out of the Paris Agreement, many city mayors, including Austin, have recommitted to addressing climate change, yet we neglect one of our most important tools, which is free, by the way, to discourage automobile use. We can end parking minimums, as some forward-thinking cities such as Buffalo, New York have done. Downtown Austin has not had parking minimums, and parking continues to be built. Ending parking minimums does not mean that no parking will be built. It means each property owner will decide what they need. Planning Commission has recommended this step for UNO, and I highly recommend it. I also hear people concerned about watershed issues, flooding, impervious cover. If you care about impervious cover, you should advocate for abolishing parking minimums. Car spots are impervious cover, by the way. Next slide. So this is just another thing to give you like a diagram of transition zones and compatibility. Planning Commission has done a really great amount of work on here. So as you can see, one person's right to not view anything other than single-family homes prevents 80 families from finding a place to live. And I live in a transit-oriented development, and that sort of thing should be exempted from compatibility completely. So as Connor Kennedy mentioned, a large portion of demolished homes are replaced with much larger single-family homes, and they're not just they're just huge. So if we can replace with a fourplex, then if we can replace them with a fourplex and have income-restricted units, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan Summers.